Okay, so this is the old control plate here. And as I mentioned in the previous video, um, the previous owner drilled a hole here to accommodate these potentiometers to fit through this control plate because this is an aftermarket plate that he got, a black one. So these original pots, as you can see right here, there's a little tab on the pot. I'll turn it sideways so you can see it a bit better. That little tab right there. And that goes through the hole to prevent the pot from moving around. So let me just quickly show you. I just got to take this washer and the nut off. So these would slide through here like this, and that little tab would fit in that little hole. And you can see it sticking out through there. So as you tighten things up, it's not going to swivel around because you can see there's a lot of play in this hole where the shaft is going through. So again, there's nothing wrong with that. That's kind of normal. You'll see these holes in some of these control plates, and sometimes you might have to drill your own if you don't have one. The alternative being, and I touched on this in the previous video, was using a potentiometer that doesn't have those tabs. Let me just take these nuts from the washer off, and they will just slide and sit in there like that. Okay, so you'd have the washer and stuff in there. You might need to use two nuts or whatever to get the spacing and the distance correct through the control plate. But just for the example I'm talking about here, where we don't have a tab to worry about. But as you can see, there's still a lot of play in there, so you're going to need to make sure you got your washers and your nuts on there properly, so it's fitting in there properly. Now the new control plate I got, the holes are smaller and they fit a little more secure. As you can see, that's a nice tight fit in there. And I won't need to worry about those holes, drilling new ones, or alternatively, cutting the tabs off of these small ones here. This is another option you have. You can just take a pair of side cutters and snip that little tab off. That's one of the reasons why I'm probably not going to reuse this configuration, because of those little tabs on there. It would probably work. Like if I got the washers and stuff and the nuts on there properly, it would probably work, but that little tab isn't even coming into contact with the plate. But I think I'm just going to replace the pots with new ones. The reason being, I'll just use this as an example. You can see there's a split down the middle of the shaft here, and there's teeth on the sides. Now you'll able to get these in an 18 spline or 24 spline configuration is what they're called. And those little teeth on there are to help, like you have your knobs that you put on. Show you. So they would slide on like that. And the configuration of these splines should match up with what's inside your control knobs. So, if you've got the wrong size in there, you might find it very difficult to get on there, or if there's too much play, you might, over time strip those little splines off inside the knob because they're just plastic, right? So these are the ones that came on the guitar, and kind of hard to see in there, but there is no spline inside there. It's just a flat surface. So what I'm going to do is order the same kind of pot, but the difference being that this shaft here will be a solid piece of brass with no splines on it. And that way I can slide the knob on and then just use this little grub screw here to tighten it to the actual shaft to prevent it from slipping around. Now you can use this knob on this style of potentiometer shaft. You just want to make sure you line up the grub screw not where the splines are here, but you want to move it so the grub screw sits where the groove is down the center of the shaft, and that'll prevent it from slipping around. If you put it on the spline side and tighten the grub screw, you risk snapping off that piece of the potentiometer shaft. Something to definitely take into consideration if you're looking at making any upgrades or changing out bits of equipment like this. Like you can see this shaft down here, the threaded area is quite a bit fatter than say this one is. So like this one here would fit in no problem. This one here doesn't. you see? So if I wanted to use this one, I need to drill this hole out, ream it out a bit to make it fit properly, or just, use the proper size. Sort of depends on what you have. I've got a little bit of everything here, but I don't have any solid shaft pots at the moment. So I think I'm just going to order the ones I need for this particular project. One volume, one tone, and they'll both be 500K. And I looked into that a bit more online just to see, because like I mentioned in a previous video, I was a little surprised to see the 500K pots in there. And I went and talked to the guy I bought the guitar from, and he told me he did not make any modifications to the electronics. So these are stock. These would be factory. So I'm assuming that these 500K pots were used because of the P90 in the neck, because that is a darker sounding single coil pickup. That's why I'm assuming they use these pots. So I'm going to just stick with what was here, go with the 500s for both volume and tone. And, if I really don't like what I'm hearing, I can always change them out later on. Just got to get 250K, for example. But I'm just going to go with what they came with from the factory. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. So I'm just going to finish cleaning these tuners with the polish, and get ready to put things back together. And I'm going to need to order those pots, so we'll probably come back to this section of the video once I get them, and we'll solder in the control plate and the switch and the pots to this guy here, and get the electronics back in the guitar. So just thought I'd show you that stuff right now. I'm going to be ordering Musiclily pots. I order a lot of stuff from Musiclily. Again, a lot of it's available on Amazon, so it's very convenient to get. And one thing I really like about their products, and this goes for everything I've ever ordered from them, is they give very precise measurements for all their stuff. So let me just quickly zoom in here. Like when you're looking at pots, you want to make sure that you've got, the right style of splines on here, if that's what you're going for, or solid shaft. You want to make sure that this measurement will match your control plate or your pick guard, whatever you're using. They usually come with a nut and a lock washer and a washer, which are great for mounting things, because a lot of times they'll just come with a nut and a washer, which is fine. But that lock washer is really great for holding things in place, because over time these things do loosen off just from use. So when you've got a lock washer, like there it is there, that comes with it, that's great to help prevent that thing from moving around. So again, you just want to make sure you measure everything. And like, for example, if you have a Les Paul style guitar, you might need a potentiometer that's what they call a long shaft. It's significantly longer because it has more of the guitar body to pass through before it pops out the other side. Like a pot like this would not work on a Les Paul. That's got so much material in the wood that you need a longer shaft for it to go all the way through. But again, that's why it's important to check these things. Either remove your old ones and take your measurements, and then go online and look and see what you're going to order for replacements and make sure everything lines up. And if you can't find something 100%, you may, need to be prepared to, for example, widen this hole out here in this case for what I'm probably going to have to do, because the solid shaft pots that I found online have this thicker threaded area at the base. So I will likely need to ream this out, widen it out, maybe drill it out a little bit. I'll have to see. But I'll show you that when I do it. So yeah, just something to keep in mind, and take your measurements. If you don't have a digital caliper or some kind of caliper like this here, I think I showed you this before. This is pretty invaluable for taking measurements, especially if you're dealing with metric and imperial stuff. This thing can do both. So for example, you take a measurement here on the shaft, 5.84 millimeters. Like a 6 millimeter shaft is what you'll probably see on the website, which is fine. So that'll fit. I've used these enough times to know that those are the kind of things I'm dealing with. But yeah, these are pretty helpful. I would, don't run out and buy one. You can probably wait till they go on sale, because they can get pretty expensive. I got this on sale pretty cheap. I think it was only like $25. So well worth the investment, especially if you're doing a lot of stuff like this. It's worth it to have that. Okay, so I've got the new potentiometers in. I'm still waiting on the audio taper, but I got the linear taper pots. So I'm not sure if that shows up well on the back. There you go, 500K. These are the Musiclily pots. And as you can see, we've got the solid shaft potentiometer. The one I showed earlier was this one. As you can see, we got the split shaft with the splines on it. And that wasn't going to work out for what we're doing here. So got these ones in. And I was going to film this originally, but I ended up having to take out the control plate and do drilling out these holes in my garage because it's kind of a messy job. I didn't want to get metal filings all over my workbench here. And I thought it'd just be cleaner to do it in the garage. So I did not film that, but I thought I'd just quickly recap what I did. So basically, I just bored these two holes out and made them larger to accommodate the threaded section of the potentiometer here. I'll just quickly show you. So that fits in there nice and tight now. It's a perfect fit. We'll be able to lock those down and it'll be no problem. The back side, I just sanded the hole, the outside of the hole, so it was smooth because you drill out the metal, you're going to have those barbs and sharp edges. So, but no one's going to see that, so I wasn't too concerned about that. And as far as the holes went, I just used one of these bits here just to smooth out like that in the drill, just to smooth out the openings a bit. So again, same reason. You just so you're not putting your finger up, and it's just you don't want to get things marked up and get little bits of metal flying all over the place. So I just did that off camera. I just thought I'd quickly record the finished product. What I also had to do was widen out the holes in the control knobs. For the same reason, this shaft on this pot is just slightly bigger than what the hole was or is in the knob. Let me just take the grub screw out here. Okay. So that goes on there now. It's nice and snug. And once it's on the guitar and everything's in place, then we'll tighten up this little grub screw to lock it down. But I couldn't even get that on the pot before. So again, same thing. I just drilled out this hole, and I have this small little mini vise. I'll show you. Really handy for working on small things, especially if you are by yourself and don't have a second set of hands. So all I did was put it in the little vise here and tighten her up. And then I just drilled that out real slowly. And again, I just measured the size, the diameter of the shaft, got the corresponding drill bit, and just drilled it out. Nothing too complicated. And this little vise is, like I say, it's a real handy little tool to have. These little orange things on here, these are just little bumpers to hold. Stuff like the control knob is a perfect example for that, because you don't want to be putting that thing into the metal section of the vise, because you're going to scratch it or squish it or damage the knurling on the knobs. So those are handy to have, and they're removable too. They're just held on with screws. So if you want, you can take those off for larger projects. And as far as the control plate went, I used the same little piece of 2x4 I have, and all I did was I just screwed it down to the 2x4, and then I just drilled out these holes. And the reason I screwed it down was I didn't want the plate jumping around while I was drilling, right? So just a little trick if you're looking to do that. I guess the big takeaway for this section of the video is if you're doing upgrades like this, where you're changing out pots or you're looking at a different style of potentiometer, you want to take those measurements and you want to make sure everything's going to fit, and just be prepared to do things like this, like drill these out, widen out these holes, things like that. I mean, it's not complicated. You just really just need a drill and maybe a little vise or a second set of hands to hold things for you if you have a buddy that can help you out or whatever. But again, just something to be aware of. So that's probably about as far as we can go for now. I'm going to just have to wait a few more days for the audio taper pots to come in. And once they come in, we'll start reassembling the electronics and putting everything back in the guitar. So I just thought I'd recap that since I didn't film it. But yeah, I guess that's it for now. Okay, I'm going to put the tuners back on the headstock here. Um, I'm just going to wipe down the headstock with a little bit of simple green. This stuff here. It's very gentle, and it's got enough of a detergent in it to help clean off any crud. And I'm just lightly going over it just to remove anything on the surface because this is pretty clean. And I'm just going to use a dry section of the rag to remove the excess. So yeah, I already did the front. So I'm just going to put my finger down the sides. Not sure what that is. It's not coming off, whatever it is. No big deal. Okay, so just a quick clean. And I'm going to install the tuners. I won't show you them all. I'll just put on one just to show you. Okay, so you can see we got our set screw hole here. Let me zoom in a bit. So we want to line that hole up with the hole in the tuner. Now I like to put the set screw in first. And this is all the same hardware we took off, so all these holes and everything should be fine. We're not changing anything. Now don't tighten this up all the way. Get it almost tight, like just get it snug. And I'll flip it over. And this particular type of a tuner has got a washer that would fit over top, like so. And then this other bushing will slide in, and the threaded section of this bushing is what's going to fasten into the tuner. And I'm just going to do this by hand, just get it hand tight. Just going to use my socket just to snug it up a little bit. And then I will tighten down that set screw all the way. Should do it. And then I'll just snug this up by hand. Get it nice and tight. Right, should be good. That's how you do it. Not too complicated. So I'll do that for the remainder of the tuners. And then I'm also going to install the string trees. I did get some replacements. And I got these, again, from Musiclily. I haven't opened the bag yet, but you can sort of see them there. And they're like a Fender style. I'll give you a better look at it when I open the bag. And I also got that black output jack plate. So that'll be a nice touch. It'll match all the other finish on the guitar, the black finish, so it'll look good when it's all done. So yeah, same process for the remaining 5. As far as the string trees go, it's just a screw to hold it in there. I'll film that when I get to it. I'm going to get these on first. So I'll stop the video and I'll come back in a bit. Okay, I've got the tuners all put back on the guitar now. I've put one of the string trees on, and I thought I'd show you the second one that I'm going to install now. Slight modification. These string trees have a little tab on them right there, and that just is like you would sit that in the hole in the wood, and then your screw would go through the bigger hole here. Now, the original string trees was just one screw that held the tree down. Just like that. So the screw would go through there and into the hole, and that was it. So in this case, we need to drill another hole to accommodate this little tab. And that's just to prevent the thing from moving back and forth. So what I did was I used the existing hole for the tab itself. Let's see if I can get this in there to show you. Okay. And then I marked where the new hole would be. Let me just move you in here. So you can see I marked that hole. Whoop, it's not going to stay on there, but this is the existing hole. I put the little tab in there, marked this hole with a pencil, and then drilled it out. And the screw that comes with these string trees is a little shorter and a little fatter than this screws that were stock with the guitar. So this screw is about 2.5 millimeters. So I took a 2 millimeter drill bit and made this hole here. So that way the screw will go in and still grab and won't split. Hopefully it'll be fine. I did the same thing up here and it was fine. So that's just a little trick that I do sometimes with these Fender style trees, because they do have that little tab in there. Kind of tricky to get that thing to stay because of the angle of it, but yeah. So there you can see the hole. So that's how I marked it. And then it's just a matter of screwing it into place. So let me back you out here. Yeah, I can feel that going in. It's nice and tight, so that hole is a good size. You don't want the hole too big, otherwise the screw will never grab, right? Well, it's another good argument to get one of those digital calipers. I'm not going to tighten these up 100%. I'm just going to back that off a bit. So there's a little bit of wiggle room there. Okay. I'm just going to leave that like that for now until we get the strings on. One other thing I wanted to show you was going back to the tuners. You can see right here, we've got a chrome screw. Now, the original screws, I reused them all because they were fine. However, there was one that was stripped out so bad. I started to put it in and it's just not happening. So see if I can show you. Like, you can see how stripped that is. Like, if you even got that in, you would never get it out again. So unfortunately, I didn't have any other black ones to use. So I just used a chrome one. It was the exact same size and the same thickness of screw. So it's fine. And really, it's on the back of the guitar. No one's really going to see it. So not the end of the world, but something to be aware of. And if you are changing out your tuners, like to a new style of tuner, and you're drilling new holes or using different lengths of screws, just make sure that your screws are not too long that they're going to go right through the body. I know it sounds a little goofy, but you never know. Like that's okay right there. But I've seen some screws that come with things like some string tree screws that are actually longer than the wood of the headstock, which is really bizarre. But I have seen it, so just something to be aware of. And we'll tighten these up once we get the strings on. We just might need to jiggle them around a bit just to get them in the right spot. But once they're there, we'll tighten everything down and it'll be good. So that should do it for the neck right now. Yeah, I think we can put that aside.